Thank you, Chairman. So, Congressman, I know we were all pleased we had a chance to visit with you privately. You quickly reached out to members of this committee and met with us, and we'll have a chance to visit later today in the classified setting. I want to go back a little bit to your discussion with Senator Wyden. One of your last comments you made there was that you gave ground to no one in respecting America's privacy, and if you want to give any examples of that in your House career, that would be fine. But as I understood what I thought was that discussion about a more expanded collection effort, it was collecting things that people had chose to no longer keep private, collecting things on social media that people had put out there. And I believe at some point you mentioned if somebody was talking about an activity that could be terrorist or other related, that the director of the CIA should have some interest in that. And am I right in saying you see a different privacy standard if someone is trying to maintain their privacy as opposed to someone who's putting information out there that anyone can see?
Mike, hit your button.
Yes, sir. I may not have added there. Look, the primary responsibility for that here in the United States is not the Central Intelligence Agency. It would be other agencies inside the federal government. So in the first instance, the focus of the Central Intelligence Agency is foreign intelligence collection. Make no mistake about that. But yes, I was referring to things that were in the public space that the U.S. government ought to make sure that we understood fully and that we didn't leave publicly available information off of things that we were using to prevent all kinds of bad and terrorist activity here in the United States. As a member of Congress, I've voted repeatedly on pieces of legislation that were important for protection of American privacy. It's something that if you come from South Central Kansas, people know. You know that being from Missouri, people are deeply cognizant of the need for a space for themselves to live away from the government, and it's something that I hold dear and treasure myself as well.
The on the issue of encryption, I've for some time on this committee at even public hearings, and specifically at public hearings, have had both the director of the FBI and NSA. I can recall on both of them saying encryption is the best thing out there and maybe in some cases the worst thing out there, but there seems to be a real sense that encryption is more often a cyber protection than something that we should create a way around. And what's your view of encryption in an ongoing way, and what the government could or should do to try to permeate encryption that's already out there in equipment?
Senator, I always start on this topic reminded of my role as the director of the CIA. It's first to comply with the law. So as you all develop policies around encryption, you have my assurance that I'll always direct the people that work for me to comply with the law with respect to private communications. Second, I think we need to acknowledge that encryption is out there and that not all encryption takes place here in the United States. And so the rules that we put and policies we put in place here in America are things that the intelligence community is going to have to figure out a way to perform its function, knowing that that encryption will continue to be out there. And then finally, we spend a lot of time talking about how we handle encrypted devices for Americans and for encryption here in the United States. My effort will be to understand it more fully, to make sure that I understand its impact on my role to keep America safe, and to work alongside you to develop a set of policies that achieve that goal while still achieving all the other goals that we have here in America.
And spending some time in House Intelligence seeing the relationship between the DNI and the CIA, what do you think you can do to advance the ability of the DNI to do their originally stated job of coordinating information, being sure everybody has access to the information that's out there in a better way than we have currently seen?
So the statute's pretty clear about our respective roles and responsibilities. I've now had a chance to reread that a couple of times since my nomination. I'm excited about Senator Coates' nomination. If he's confirmed, I look forward to working alongside of him. I've read the histories. I know that there have been conflicts before between the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. In my role as a small business owner, I saw that too. You'd have different people with different roles and you'd see conflict. My effort was every day to work hard to make sure that we were additive, that we each found our own space, that we worked across those borders, not only individually, but that we directed that our organizations would accomplish that as well. So it's not just the two senior officials, I think, that have had conflict before. We need to make sure our organizations each understand that there is a place for the Director of National Intelligence to ensure that there's good communication among the a dozen-plus intelligence agencies, and that information is shared in a timely fashion, and that the Director of the CIA has his plate full, performing his primary functions as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Senator